Like, why are they asking them for fish if they're insatiable? Why don't they make fucking baskets?
Yeah.
Like it seems like not they're either racist and they're not actually insatiable and they're just actually having a hard time right now,
Mhm.
or this is the plot hole. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Book Reading Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Sam, and this week we are looking at chapters 9 and 10 of A Court of Mist and Fury. Chapter 9 is so they've had their argument already about the jewelry, and so they're trying to have a makeup moment. Tamlin has a nice, really typical abusive relationship. I bought you a present to say sorry, but then I'm gonna hit you afterwards moment.
Uh,
Um, and then we have some insight to what the next few days have looked like, what the next couple of weeks are looking like for Feyre. And then Rhys comes to pick her up, and we have a really interesting interaction between her and Rhys and Tamlin.
mhm.
It's kind of so there's not a whole lot going on, but it kind of yada yada's over a little bit, but there's some
Yeah.
interesting things here.
This is the last time he picks her up, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was only twice that he picked her up. Or really once from the wedding, once normal. And then
Yeah.
that was it.
And then she says, get me out of here. Sort of. She actually doesn't ask. She just kind of loses her shit and more comes to get her.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What I get from the most of chapter 9 is that it's very typical domestic violence, abusive relationship interactions, right? They've had an argument
Mhm.
and she is I mean, she's comforted by Alice, and I didn't have any notes for Alice, but like, she's like waiting upstairs for him to come up, and he doesn't. So she's like, "Fine, I'll go down to him." So like again,
Yeah.
he's not, he's like, "Oh, I was gonna come right up," and like, "Well, were you, or were you still being a little bitch about it?"
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I get it. You have an argument, you're like, "Fuck off," and like someone has to kind of bend, but he's always
Yeah.
making her be the one that kind of bends first.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and like it very much, and I get the like kind of tension that happens after an argument when there's like you haven't gotten to the apology or the reconciliation. But this is like legit walking on eggshells. Like she's kind of like coaxing his ego a bit and is like, you know, saying like it feels different than just being like, "Hey, that was rough." And like being like, "Okay, I'm just going to like, I'll be the first person to say sorry, whatever." This feels tentative in a different sort of way, right? Where she's like, I was just going to come up. He says, "You should be sleeping." And she's like, "So should you. You work too hard." And like, she's kind of like waiting to see how he replies because again, he's right. His temper is kind of scary. And
Mhm.
so it just felt like a different sort of thing. It's different than being like, "Fuck, I gotta go say sorry because I fucked up. Fine, like let's go get this done." This feels like there's a level of like fear and tension built into it
Feels
a
like
little bit.
awkwardness, like
Yeah, or like
yeah.
where you don't say the wrong thing to daddy kind of a thing, right? Like,
Mhm.
where you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta say all
Uh,
the nice things first." And like he's kind of doing the same thing, I guess, with like buying her a gift, but
yeah,
I
they
don't know.
just seem like they are like awkward around each other,
Yeah.
and he's obviously the one who has the most say so there's probably that power dynamic. I also
Yeah.
actually I did have some things about just some questions about Alice and that part. Well, first of all, the chapter opens on like her power and
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So I just like noted that because that's gonna be like, you know, I don't know. It's just like this really important aspect that Tamlin is ignoring. And I think Lucian did see it and he has also not come up and sort
Yeah.
of talked to her either. Which we'll find out I think later. But and and then I don't know, I was just curious about like this insatiable appetite. Alice is like, "Oh, I heard you gave your jewels away," and she's like, "Whatever." And then Alice is like, "They're a slippery sort." And then Feyre goes, "She said they were starving. They had no food." And Alex says, "Not one fairy in that line would have given her the money. No one would have dared. Too many have gone to a watery grave because of the water wraith's hunger. Insatiable appetite. It is their curse. Your jewels won't last a week." Is that? I don't know. I don't know. I just, to me, like, is that really? Maybe it's a literal curse, and it's just like how all water wraiths are. But I don't. I feel like
But
we
it
never
sounds
find out
like
about this.
the curse of Cain kind of
Yeah, it
nonsense.
just sounds
Yeah,
like
where you're
some
just
shit
like,
someone made up.
they're meant to be enslaved because they've been cursed with the dark skin, like that bullshit excuse kind of a thing,
Yeah,
where it's just like, yeah, this like deeply ingrained false narrative of a group of people. However, I do feel I was a little bit intrigued with Alice bringing this up specifically because they're water wraiths, and these water wraiths or someone who's related to them or similar, because we talked about last time how the water because the water wraiths end up in summer court. And so I'm
or some
wondering,
water wraiths.
or some water wraiths or
Mhm.
something like that, right? And like clearly there's going to be more water wraiths in summer court than probably any other court since it's oceanic.
Yeah.
Um and so I find it interesting. I was wondering if there was a connection or like an insight that Alice has of this particular type of fairy because she's summer court and like,
And there's huge distinctions in the summer court with like these are the lower fae, these are the higher.
yeah.
So you think she would, as like a lower, she would know more about them and like kind of
Well,
really know like what's really up with them?
or she's in a position where she knows that she can probably speak freely with Feyre, but she also needs to kind of protect herself and now protect her nephews. So she might be in a space where she's like really gracious that Feyre did this,
Hmm.
and because right after she says what she says, then she's like, she won't forget it so long as she lives. No matter what she says, she's in your debt. Too many fairies have tasted hunger these past 50 years. Don't think word won't spread, right? So like there's a little bit of warning in that, but I also think it's Alice's way of being like, that
Yeah.
was a really good thing that you did, and I see you, but I can't say that out loud because of the court that I'm in, the position that I'm in, the protection that I
Yeah.
need to make sure that my boys still have, and because I know what's being, so like she's like, well, I'm going to reiterate what the High Lord would say, so that I give myself a space to be like, no, I told her that it was. I told her what you said, that the
Mhm.
money wasn't going to last a week, that they're insatiable. And so, like, almost kind of like a little bit of padding it for her so that
Yeah.
she can have
Like
plausible deniability. If
yeah.
anybody was like, did you tell Feyre this was a good thing? She's like, no, I told her they were insatiable, you
Yeah, I
know?
like that because it just seems interesting and it doesn't seem like Alice would default to these things. So I was like, maybe it's just literally true. But then I was also like, okay, if they actually have insatiable appetite, like, you know what I mean? Why isn't this a thing in the blast tide? It's a
Yeah.
little pond. Fish don't, I mean, I don't know how
Yeah.
fast fish reproduce, but I don't think it's that fast. If
Yeah.
they're insatiable and they're very powerful, like I
Hmm.
assume in the water they're powerful and like, surely, okay, now maybe this is maybe me being a nerd, but like we should see water wraith migration if that's such a thing, where they
Yes.
follow when species can't survive, they go and they find food and they find other kinds of
Hey,
food and there should be migration patterns or something like,
this
or
is
they eat
how,
themselves to
this is
death.
why. This is why they put the wall up, Allie, because they didn't want nerdy ass scholars like us busting down the doors of Prithian to come with bullshit degrees like studying wraith water migratory patterns. They're like, we have queens and magic and kings of Hybern who want to kill us, and you want to study. We're like over here documenting and tagging wraith water ears to watch
Yeah,
the migratory pattern.
dude, yes, I want that. So maybe they did go to summer court.
Yeah, because like the humans have nothing better to do in their very short lifespans but study stupid shit.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. It
So
should
funny.
be the opposite, where like the people who have wildly extensive lives study stupid
Yeah.
shit. Because
That is,
then you
the
could
Fae should be
actually,
like scientists, like all of
yes,
them.
the amount of time that you could study something over 100 years, over 400 years, all the Fae should be scientists of humans.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah.
Could you imagine that? They'd be like, "Oh, how does this interact over time?" Okay, well, you have someone who's 500 years old. How about you tell me how migratory patterns work for humans for 500 years? What
Yeah.
is the long-term effects of slavery? I don't know. I've had 500 years to study one civilization in my lifetime. I'm a primary source of of everything.
Yeah. Dude, that's so interesting. But yeah. But I also think like, why are they asking them for fish if they're insatiable? Why don't they make fucking baskets?
Yeah.
You know, like it seems like not. They're either racist and they're not actually insatiable and they're just actually having a hard time right now,
Mhm.
or this is the plot hole. Like, you know,
Yeah.
because like it's a pond. Now maybe it's a gigantic lake, and then the fish are some sickness, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went off on that deep end. um,
Regardless, like and then it does kind of feel like, right, if they're pond water wraiths, you know where they're living, you know what they have access to. It just seems absurd to ask them for something that you know that they're not gonna have.
yeah, and I feel like they would have already negotiated, being like, "We can't do the fish thing. Can we give you some other kind of good?" And they would be like,
Yeah.
"Yes,"
Yeah.
because it said it doesn't matter what they give them. So surely they can make some kind of craft. Or like that's what just would happen. Um,
Yeah.
because with people, that people
Or
figure things
give
out.
or yeah, they would give a service, right? They would be like, it'd be like
Mhm.
indentured servitude, or they would end up doing something different,
Which is
right? It's
also
like,
fucked up, but yeah, that's exactly what would happen.
sure, yeah.
Uh-huh. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
what if we find out that that's how Alice was like, "I came here and I couldn't pay the tithe, so now I'm a servant." You're like,
yeah,
"Yikes, Tammy."
rather than being
Yeah.
hunted by Tamlin. Um, okay, yeah, that's all I had about so at the end of the conversation, Alice says, "Don't think word of this won't spread." And then it said, "I was afraid of that perhaps more than anything." That to me was like, well-trained dog.
Uh-huh.
You're supposed to be afraid of how people will think and what people will do.
Yeah.
And, that's not that's that
Well,
to me, that was like
and
a Tamlin brainwashing moment where she
well,
was like,
and maybe that's why I have the walking on eggshells vibes going into this
mm,
conversation with Tamlin, is because the last
yeah,
thing
you get
she
that
says
last
is
line.
like, "I'm afraid of
Yeah.
everyone finding out what I did," because the problem with everyone finding out that she did something that was compassionate is that it's gonna piss Tamlin off.
Or make Tamlin look weak and
Look
her look like the
weak.
better ruler,
Yeah,
and then
exactly, and so,
do
like,
a high lady
that's
situation,
yeah,
right?
like, "Oh, well, now everybody's gonna want we're gonna have to help everybody." Like, in her bones, she's like, "We should be helping everybody."
Yeah, she's like,
So, the problem with it getting out is that this is gonna be an ongoing conflict with Tamlin.
mhm, yeah, and she's afraid for that. Um, and then also thought it was weird that he was like, "You should be asleep." I was like, "What? She got to get up early for a meeting? Like, why are you
Right?
telling her to go to sleep?" And maybe it was just meant to be more a passing comment, like caring. But and I also
Well,
thought
I
it
mean,
was
it doesn't
funny.
help that she has these dark purple circles under her eyes and is fucking
Yeah, he's
starving,
really
so he's
like, "You
probably
look
like, "Bitch,
gross. Go get some
you look
sleep."
rough, babe. You should go rest."
And I also think it's interesting how he immediately checks her head to toe when I'm like, "Girl, she's been 2 floors above you, like, calm
Yeah.
your fucking tits." And also, which, maybe that's his trauma response, but it's interesting because, like, we always go back to Tamlin does not he can only think on, like, a practical or, like, a physical safety kind of level. And so like clearly she's coming down because she's having an emotional response to
Yep.
an emotional conflict, and you still check her head to toe for safety shit when she hasn't left the house. And I'm just like, you just got fucked up instincts. Like, I mean, and it probably is just trauma, but I just thought it was so interesting. I also thought it was interesting how she says, kinda like right where you were sort of talking about, "I crossed the room to lean against the armchair, eyeing the present as Tamlin had eyed me." What kinda objectification, like,
Yeah, that's
I don't
fair.
know, it's kinda confusing to me, like, I
Well, because she's his prize, right?
yeah, yes, her body and his present, that's what they are replacing each other with, maybe
Yeah.
that's the interesting. Because yeah, he sort of assumes that she's his present. He starts
Yeah.
getting up and kissing her. But I don't know. There's something weirdly about that sentence that felt very like, oh, this is like a like pay attention. I don't know.
There's also there's also a very different contrast. So when she becomes High Lady and she checks Reese in front of people the first time, I think it's in book 3
Like,
or
she argues with
4.
him when
Yeah,
she
she, like, calls him on his bullshit in
Mhm.
front of people or whatever, and, like, she basically undermines him in front of the inner circle or some shit, and she, like, avoids him for a minute, and he's like, "Is that why you're being weird? Do you think I'm mad at you?" And she's like, "Well, like, I shouldn't have undermined you in front of people," and he was like, "No, call me on my bullshit. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I want you to say stuff. I want you to push back. I wanna hear your voice." And it's the complete antithesis here because
Mhm.
even though she says, "I'm sorry," and he says, "You had every right. I was wrong." But he doesn't say, "You have every right. Please call me on it. Tell me what you think. Let me know what you're saying." Like there's no follow-up to that. It's just, "No, you're right. I don't know what it's like to starve." So it's this one specific thing that he's like, "You
Mhm.
had no, it's fine. You had every right to speak up because what we're talking about specifically is this incident.
Mhm.
We're not talking about the right to challenge me whenever you have a differing opinion."
Mhm. And I will say he did sound more earnest in that point, but maybe, yeah, it is because it's, like, very specific just
He's
right
like, "Well,
now.
yeah, yeah, like this
Funny.
affect, like you know about them better than I do. So yeah, you have every right to say it. You've starved." But like imagine if there was something, right? If they're going to war, he's gonna be like, "Fairy, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have any right to comment on this. You've never gone to war."
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
And like so I feel like it's not a universal like you can talk like you can challenge me whenever you want, or like I want to hear your voice and your ideas and your opinions. Don't feel afraid to push back. It's no, no, like you're right. I don't know what it's like to starve. So it was fine that you said something this time.
Mhm. Yeah. I also think it's interesting, like, I guess it's actually a little bit before that, but, like, does not understand, like, the conflict at all, like, so I don't know, I just feel like if you know that your partner is upset with you, you don't go and, like, just start kissing them. You're like, "It's time for a serious conversation." I mean, maybe not in a healthy I should
Yeah.
like, you know, they have an emotional conflict they need to resolve by talking, and he just, like, pretends like he just, like,
Yeah.
immediately starts kissing her, like, and I'm like,
This is exactly what abusive behavior is.
"Yeah.
It's there's a conflict, there's a period of silent treatment is what that is.
Mhm.
And then there's the apology, a gift, physical to be like, "See, still love you." And then it goes right back into another argument and all the things because you're
Yeah.
not talking. There's no talking.
Yeah."
They're
And
not talking at all to each other.
no, he cannot. Every time he pulls away, every single time it gets and I mean, I'd say the only time he gets close to being vulnerable is when he explodes, and it's probably because got close to being
Yeah.
vulnerable or he was vulnerable.
Well, and then with the
Um,
gift that he gives her, it's one that is like so obvious that like either
and
there's
he's
two.
emotionally out of touch with her
Yes,
completely.
yeah, it's the two option, well, I mean, it's kind of simultaneous, but yes, he one doesn't see it at all. He
Mhm.
doesn't get it. He doesn't get why she's not painting, and so he gives her this thing. Or it's I could also be where he's just like, I just need her to be okay, and she used to paint when she was okay, so I'm gonna ask her to like, I'm just gonna give her the stuff she used to like.
Yeah,
Because
I think it's
yeah,
a little bit
it's
of
like
both.
both.
Like
It was like
it's
one, he doesn't understand why she's not painting, and he's like, if she just paints, she'll be fine. Like if we could just go back, we could just
yeah,
go back to all the things you did before. And that's his thing, right? Tamlin is always the look behind guy. He's always the traditions because this is what we do. These are the rules. This is the traditions. If you could just go back to being that human girl who needed protection, who loved to paint and just didn't want anything else, that would be great. He's always looking behind him.
yeah.
Tamlin is not a dreamer,
Nope.
and he is
He's not
not
a stars who dream.
he's not a dreamer, and he is not about a better world.
Yeah, no.
And
No,
those
he
are
is not.
two very big themes in both this book and Throne of Glass.
Yeah. and in his heritage.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked a little bit last time about like the themes of a better world and like right, the world will be
Mhm.
created or rebuilt by the dreamers, and then
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the stars to dream, blah, 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 like that's a theme. Also, super interesting when the Suriel dies. When it's dying, Feyre says like, "I realized then what the Suriel was, and it was a dreamer."
Mhm.
And you're like,
Doesn't it
"Oh,
say a better world when it dies too?
yep, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." It says,
Yeah.
"Leave this world a better place." And that's when Feyre's like, "Now I realize what the Suriel was this whole time. It was a dreamer." And you're like, "Oh, that's all thrown a glass shit."
Mhm. Yeah.
We're doing this whole like, the he gives her the present as an apology. It literally says it's an apology gift. He doesn't see her. He realizes she doesn't like the present or is apprehensive about it. And she's like, "No, it's wonderful." And he's like, "I thought if you started painting." The second that she tries to ask him to heal himself, temper.
Yes. Yeah,
Right?
I said
It's like, "I thought if you started painting again," and then she's waiting for him to finish, and then he doesn't, and then she gets kind of embarrassed, right? Her face heats, and she goes, "Well, what about you? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to try to get past this and try to heal?" And it says, "I dared meet his eyes," again, fear, temper flared in them. So the second that she's like, "Well, like, I would love to be able to paint, but I can't paint because I'm hurt, and I know you're hurting. So, like, what about you? Is this isn't helping you?"
yeah,
And
she
his
did it
response to her
instead of
care is temper.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, just is like he can't look at it. He
Yeah.
can't handle
And then
and
straight shuts it down. "We're not talking about me. We're talking about you." And she's like, "We're talking about us, motherfucker."
mhm.
Because then it says, "I studied the box and its contents." And then she asks, "Will I even be allowed to roam where I wish to paint? Or will I be escorted too?"
Mhm.
And he doesn't
Yeah, she comes
respond.
back to, like, the central conflict. She's
Yeah.
trying to get to the heart of the issue, and he is, like, avoiding it, and he
Yeah.
cannot even answer her question because he just can't talk about the actual problem. He just because he can't be vulnerable for even 1 second.
Yeah. And then he doesn't even give her the answer, right? He's just like, she's like, "Will I be able to roam?" Nope. "Am I going to have an
Mhm.
escort?" Yep. Like his silence it screams the answers to her.
Yeah, and the you give it enough is also just another sign of, like, emotional
Yeah.
non-attunement,
And
and
emotional
just and also, like,
manipulation.
like well, but I also think he's just like it's either directly manipulative or he just doesn't he still sees her as like, I figured out this thing about you, and it's
Mhm.
that you had a hard family life and I helped you, and let's just hold on to that. Like, and he can't like
Yeah.
move. Like, just
Mhm.
bro, look at what's it's like a weird, it's like really weird.
Well, and then she tries to, right, so it's like they have an apology moment. He does something that is kind but so wrong, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm going to ask him how he's healing himself." He shuts that down. She's like, "Okay, cool, cool. So like so then I'll talk about me.
Hmm.
If we're talking about me, then I'll tell you my feelings," right? And she's like, "I began shaking, right? But for me, for us, I said," right? She's like, "I'm trying to make us work and you don't want to talk about you. So I'm going to let you know what I need to do to heal." And then she's
Hmm.
like, I can't live a life with the guards around me all day and night. I can't live like that with that suffocation. Just let me help you. Let me work with you." Like she's telling him what she wants. Just I need to not just be cooped up, dude.
And
Like
he
you're
doesn't. He just pivots away from that.
mhm.
Yeah, he won't even entertain
No.
that idea at all. Um,
And then makes her feel like shit about it, right? That and like makes her feel weak too. She's like, "I'm stronger now." He's like, "My family was strong too and they got killed." You're like,
yeah.
"Okay." Yeah, and he's creating arguments that you can't fight against.
Yeah, because it's not a direct answer. It's like
Yeah.
other people have been strong. Like, that's a
Yep.
fallacy. Like,
And then makes her feel
um,
like shit. She's like, "Fine, marry someone who wants to live like this." And he's like, "You don't want to marry me now?" And
yeah,
you're like, "Fuck, man, that's not even what we're talking about right now. I'm just trying to tell you what I need from you, what I want this relationship to be." And he's like, no." Like his entire argumentation style is so crazy.
yeah. Well, because it's just hiding from reality.
Yeah.
Also, we do like she's terrified that it's a crown is so funny. Like,
Yeah.
at every turn, she anticipates that Tamlin will make her high lady, give her a crown. She expects for her person to give her that esteem and that whatever, and with Tamlin, she dreads it, but I think it's still like a tell of like what she expects out of a partner. She just doesn't like quite understand it.
Yeah.
Like, Reese puts a crown on her the first day he dresses her, and
Mhm.
Tam, she's like, please on a crown because then I'm really stuck with him.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because the
you know,
crown for that though, it's just a pretty piece of jewelry that happens to sit on
yeah,
your
that's
head instead of
meaningless.
yeah, it's meaningless and it's just it's a symbol. It's not I mean, and it is a symbol for Reese, right? Like there's meaning to it, but it's power that he gives to her to
Yeah, he gives her
wield
actual
as
political
opposed
power.
to it being power that he gives to himself to wield.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I thought it was funny how it's like a traveling paint kit. It's like the most out of touch paint. The
Yeah.
most out of touch thing he could give her is like, "Oh, you can take this around with you." Like, around where, bitch?
Yeah, right?
You don't you forgot that our biggest fight is that you don't let me go anywhere.
Yeah. So I can go to
It's
the one garden with 7 sentries, or I can go to the stables with 7 sentries, or I can go to the 6 rooms that don't make me want to have a PTSD full on panic attack.
Yeah,
Cool, cool.
it's just funny.
And also when he's like,
Um,
instead of you having to lug them around all the time, all what time? She's been home for 3 months and she hasn't painted a single thing. She's not lugging anything around. And she never lugged it. I
yeah.
mean, she lugged it around before Amarantha, but not really. She painted in 2 rooms. Painted in the garden or in the library.
Yeah, it's just a classic like you don't know me. You do not know
Yeah.
me at all. And but yeah, so she goes straight for the, she is vulnerable over and over with him even though it's
Yeah.
really hard for her. And she's like scared to do it. She's like I we have to she has that instinct like we have to face this.
Mhm.
And so, the drowning line and yeah.
He doesn't just like pop a claw out and like throw something across the room. His power blasts the room.
Mhm.
That's intense.
Yeah, now I do think this is also not necessarily intentional. I do think that's not an excuse, and he needs to learn to control himself and his power. And he's a freaking High Lord. Like you've had 500 years to learn to control your little temper.
Yeah.
So like I don't, but I do like this is why the first time I read it, I thought it was some kind of plot line about him having some kind of other problem with his magic, like a malfunction. And I didn't see the abusive storyline because I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that sounds like something's going wrong with the magic.
Yeah.
like
Well,
but
yeah, but I mean, it
this
is.
it just seems like she said the thing that was at the heart. He had nowhere to turn. He couldn't pivot away
Mhm.
from her saying, I feel like you're killing me, and him being at the center of the blame, and he just exploded. He couldn't
Yeah.
even he just floundered.
Well, and
um
on top of that, it's not even like she's saying she doesn't want to be with him. She's saying she wants to be with him with freedoms. Like she wants to be
and
free.
that he's hurting her.
Yeah, she's like, I want to be free with you, not free from you. And he
Mhm.
loses his shit because he can't see
Yeah.
the difference. And on top of
Yeah.
that, it's like, yes, you should be able to control your power. It's just like when you're dating someone and they get so mad that they punch a hole in the wall. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a personal problem. That's not an excuse.
Yeah, like, oh,
Yeah.
I just get so angry. So no, that's abuse. That's crazy. If you're
Mhm.
throwing shit across the room, that's a problem. That's what
Yeah.
this is. So when people
Yeah.
are like, oh, well, maybe he has, it's just all this power. No, because you would not. I mean, hopefully,
Oh, I
would
don't think
not.
now. I just when initially first read it through, I did not sense
Sure.
it at all because I was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
"Oh, here's the inciting
Well,
incident."
and like
like,
I'm trying to be kind.
yeah.
We all know where I
No.
stand on Tamlin. And like I'm
Mhm.
trying to be like, okay, well, like, is this PTSD talking? Is this? But like really, it's not even like she's telling him, I don't want you. She's not even, I mean, what she's trying to do, it doesn't make sense to me why he's so mad, other than it's not like other than the reason of control, right? It's not like she's telling him something that is like, I don't want to be with you. You don't make me happy anymore and I want to go. She's like, no, I want the dynamics to shift, Hamlin. I want to be your partner. And he's like, fuck that.
No, I see. I actually don't see it at all like that. I think this is the most emotionally vulnerable we ever see him, because I think like this is where she's backed him into a corner, and she has made him understand that you are hurting me, and
Yeah.
he doesn't truly want to hurt her. He is trying to protect her. He has, like, the right intentions. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think he knows that he's manipulative. I don't think he knows that he's, like, crazy. And, well, partially because he deludes himself, and
Yeah.
partially because he's, like, just got all this inherent misogyny, and, like, just
Yeah.
all this bullshit, sticking to these old rules and not thinking through and not having empathy and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
I do think, like, to me, this seems like the clearest, like, oh, he can't face the truth about himself, and he can't feel like that blame. It's just like someone who's super sensitive who can't take criticism.
Mhm.
They have to pivot away from that, and they
Yeah.
cannot. But he's just essentially, like, cannot tolerate any blame on himself, and
Yeah.
realizing he's the source of the problem, which is obviously his biggest problem, and that's where abuse comes from.
Yeah.
Or that's why he's so abusive, is because he can't ever think about he's only thinking about himself constantly, or what
Yeah, and
in control. And
I'm wondering if there is I can't decide if Tamlin is self-loathing or like if he's has an entitlement problem, and maybe it's both.
both.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because there
absolutely.
feels like a I cannot be wrong because I'm the High Lord. Go fuck yourself. Everything
Mhm.
I say is law. You cannot disagree, and that's the entitlement aspect, or or
'Cause I
maybe
can't take the
and
pain of being wrong or
yeah,
being called
or
out.
maybe there's in conjunction to that is also this I'm worthless, and so, like, the bringing it to the table, I just can't figure out which one, because one is kind of sympathetic, right? I'm a little bit sympathetic to the self-loathing one, where like, oh, who hurt you? Where did this come from? Like that stuff. Entitlement is a lot harder for me to sympathize with because I'm like,
Mhm.
get over yourself. Like, quit being a
Yeah.
bitch.
Well, I don't
And
know if it's necessarily self-loathing. I think it could still just be, like, just a fear of acknowledging any blame. Like, it's just, you
yeah,
cannot be. Yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily self-loathing, because I don't think he thinks of himself so lowly,
yeah.
but I
And
do
not in
think
this book.
he feels like it's very dangerous
Hmm.
to have emotions, and to acknowledge things, and to not be, like, strong arming
Yeah.
everything. I think he was probably just raised by, like, saying, like, you do, don't cry, all the
Yeah,
bullshit. And
yeah,
he's
yeah.
just yeah.
I think part of his arc is that at this stage in the series, this is an entitlement problem, right? That's
Yes.
the you have power and you were born to be this power and everyone should bow to you, and like being instilled in with that, right? Like
Mhm.
you rule with an iron fist and you cut down any enemy and like all that bullshit, right? And like the Illyrians have some of that too, right? They have this
Yeah.
entitlement, the misogynistic traditions and all the things.
And it comes from trying to want everything to go well and control
Yeah,
everything, and you're afraid,
yeah,
and
and
fear
yeah,
and
yeah, and
accuracy.
being out of control, and I think we don't get to the self-loathing until we get to books, you know.
Till he's done a lot more harm. I think he feels the after he caused the sisters to be, like, I think after he realizes how much he fucked up, then we get the self-loathing. I think at this
Yeah.
point he hasn't really
And
done
so
enough
maybe
actual
that's why
harm.
maybe there will be the uptick of the, like, redemption arc with the readers, not just with the,
Mhm.
Feyre, because Feyre still is in a place where she doesn't truly forgive him. She's like, "I don't know if I ever want to see him again." Like, she's like, "I kind of wish him happiness because whatever, but I also
Yeah.
don't care to check in," kind of a thing, right? And so
And
maybe
I
that's
don't want her to be like, "Let's be besties."
no,
But
but
oh,
I
that's what you
can't
mean by with the readers.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay,
exactly.
yeah.
We're like, yes. And so with there's a bit of a redemption arc for Tamlin already within the series, right? Because he does like help her
Sees
and he
some
gives
progress, progression.
he helps bring Reese back and he's, fights for them in the war. And then, and then he's distraught and lost afterwards. And so like I feel like there's a difference between like the redemption arc for just Feyre, right? He's had his redemption arc. He helped. She's kind of moved past it. Reese is still holding on to it and it's like, fuck this guy. I don't like him, whatever. And so then with the reader narrative arc, you're like, well, we want Tamlin to have a happy ending. That's like, and that's the thing is, I feel like readers don't understand a redemption arc is not a happy ending always. And
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
they're
well,
hoping to be like, see everything that Tamlin did because they want the chapter 54 for Tamlin. They want to be like, oh, he did everything with all these reasons and it makes perfect sense.
oh, no, I see him more as, like, Is that what people think? I just thought they meant redemption arc, like he'll find some other girl and he'll
Maybe.
have a happy ending for himself, but not with Feyre and not
No,
with any
I
of
don't.
them, and just totally
Sure,
separate.
and I don't think that it needs to be tied to Feyre, but I think that people
Or
aren't
even love.
satisfied. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I think they want Tamlin to have a happy ending of some sort, and that would be the redemption arc for them. That like Tamlin ends up realizing how bad he is, and he finds a new love, and he's better for this new love, and he, becomes the High Lord that he's always wanted.
That would feel too tidy. I think I would be happy if Tamlin, like, you know, I don't know, died heroically, or like maybe even like stepped down or something and like went off to live in a cottage with some nice
Yeah,
girl.
right. Or
Like,
even
I
if
don't know.
just like towards the end of the series, we actually see an interaction between him and Lucian where he gives an earnest apology to Lucian,
Yes,
and like Lucian's
that'll happen, I think.
like that's all, like that would be a fine redemption arc where he like
Yeah.
acknowledges to somebody that he fucked up, acknowledges to the person who he's been fucking up with the longest and is
Mm.
supposed to be family for him, and being like, you wanted this court to be something more, let's build to something more, and boom, that's it, end of series.
Okay, actually, what would be interesting? I could see also Tamlin, like, assuming he's not actually Gwen's dad and he hasn't actually ever had any kids. I could see a daddy arc as his redemption arc where he like, knocks some girl up or something and
Right.
he ends up like having to like or just like takes in some kid who's like lost and then like that
Hmm.
mentorship, like which can be cheesy sometimes, but I feel like that is kind of the right type of thing he needs is like I don't know. I
what
could
if
see
he
something like that.
what if he turns over his lands to the humans?
I don't think he'll do that.
He like marries Vasa, and they have a Fey human hybrid spring
I could
court.
see that, but then he'd still be, like, in charge of things. He'd just be, like, incorporating things. I still have a hard time believing that, but that's
Yeah,
kinda
I don't
interesting.
know.
Anyway, whatever. Who knows? Tamlin Daddy arc, we'll see.
Yeah,
Um,
still very confused on who the what all the motivations are. I mean, because we're in Silver Flames right now, Topher and I, and now
mhm.
we're learning more about like Braylon and the queens and Koshe, and I'm like, what is all this? Although,
They seem like, well, two-dimensional villains that are just like, "We want some power."
yeah, when they were talking about the Valkyries, they were like, "Oh yeah, Merlin is researching this female warriors, the Valkyries from the Great War," and I'm like, "Ooh, Thea's War? Are we getting Thea's War information here?"
Yeah, the wars confuse me.
The wars are so confusing. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, I'm
um,
interested to get that straight.
okay, so that
Yeah.
was chapter 9. Should we move into chapter 10?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
we've already gabbed. I was like, oh, I don't have much to say, and we've just
well, we had to talk about migratory patterns.
yeah.
Uh Yeah, this chapter I was like, we cannot just stop at chapter 9. That's
Mm-mm.
crazy because yeah, we're mid breath from one chapter to the next.
Yeah.
And yeah, one breath the city was intact, the next it was shards of nothing, a shell of a room. It's kind of a crazy thing. Like if she hadn't shielded herself, would she might have actually died, huh? Or I don't no.
Well, at some point, so in the third book, he does this again, and she doesn't shield herself, and she gets like she gets blasted pretty hard. If she was human, she would be dead, 100%.
Yeah. It's probably because she's fey. But yeah, and so she another burst of magic. We've had one in every chapter almost. Like we got
Hmm.
head hopping, we've got burn on table, we've got, all this
Sorry, head hopping sounds very spicy. But yeah, so we have night court stuff, right? She missed the shoe and she jumps into Lucian's mind. So we have night court. Then
yeah,
we have autumn court with the char marks. And now we
yeah,
have this um
air.
air. And I'm wondering if it is air for, I think that's Dawn, right? Or if it is one of Helion's, like if she like, because he does wards, so I'm wondering if it's Helion's power.
Yeah, maybe it is actually just a ward that she just threw up. Because yeah, I'm like, who has air power? But
I don't
he
think
has
anybody has
Pegasus, so
this.
maybe that's some air magic type beats.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and then Dawn Court has the Peregrines. So they would have air
Further.
magic. They're winged beings that look like birds. They're
Mm,
falcons.
have no memory of that.
Yeah.
um, okay. And yeah, and Tamlin's, he is still in the middle of like being forced to feel his feelings for the first time. He's
Mhm.
sobbing. Um Again, he just like can't handle it. He immediately starts to pivot and try and fix everything. Again, I just think of it, he cannot bear the feeling of blame, guilt, and so,
It
with
is
hitting him, he's run away from it.
it's just this whole scene is so yucky to me. He basically hits her
Yeah.
and
And then
then
burst into tears.
bursts into tears and she's like, "It broke me." And then she just hugs him
I know.
basically and
She annoys
comforts
me
him.
more.
She
I'm
comforts
like,
him,
"It broke
but
you."
it's such abusive relationship. "I'm just so sorry. Sometimes I just can't control it. The rage. Today was just a bad day. I'm so like this isn't me, blah blah blah." And she's like, "It's
Yeah.
you're right. It's
She's just making
okay."
excuses, like,
Yeah.
excuses will work for you, Feyre. The
Yeah.
tide, bad day, can't control.
Like, I don't know what I'm more disgusted by. The fact that he shattered a room and almost hurt you, or if you're like, "I know, babe, it's okay." Like it's just it's yuck. The whole thing is yuck.
I mean, I can definitely understand like the feeling as someone who is a peacemaker in every
Yeah.
situation. I would probably be like this to some extent. Um, I'd like to think that I would then grow a pair and be like, "Oh, fuck you, we're done." But
For
like,
sure.
I
Yeah.
probably that would be my instinct,
But
just to like, "You're
that's what I mean by
upset, let's
like
fix that."
yeah, but that's what I mean by it
But it,
being like it looks like an abusive relationship where it
yeah, totally.
follows all of the steps, right? It's like there's a moment of violence and then
Hmm.
this plea of
Yeah.
"I'm so sorry," and then the victim then has to console
Hmm.
the perpetrator because of that sweet, right? It's a Darvo technique, right? Where instead of it's like a legit Darvo is an acronym for manipulative style argumentation and relationship things, right? And so part of that is switching the role of the victim and the aggressor. And
Hmm.
so that's what this is, right? "Oh, I'm so sorry." And so now the victim becomes the person who has to console the aggressor because now he's made himself to be the victim. "Oh, I can't
Hmm.
control it. I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
And it's gross.
Yeah.
Although
And
she wants to kind of call him on his bullshit, but she doesn't.
yeah. Uh
Right, and he's like, I'll try to be better, please give me more time. Let me get through this, please." And she's like, "Get through what?" I wanted to ask.
yes.
And that's what I want to know. Where she's like, "Get through what? Like
Because
your
on some
trauma? Or
Mhm.
are you talking about something within the court? Get through what do you need to get through, Tamlin?"
Yeah, to me it seemed like, "Oh, you won't tell me about any of your trauma struggles." So, like, I thought it was like, get through what, like, you haven't told me anything, you're denying that you have any,
Yeah.
you won't talk about it. But then I was like, yeah, I was like, maybe she sees it as like a flailing or an excuse as well.
Yeah. Where he's like, "I'm
And
so," and like that's kind of it too, right? Where he's the aggressor and she's the victim. He's like, "Let me just get through this." And as the actual victim being like, "I'm sorry, get through what? You fucked up here, not me."
yeah. Oh, and right before that, he's finally, he's doing the vulnerable thing. "I couldn't save you before. I couldn't protect you from them. And when you said that about me drowning you, am I any better than they were?" That he is looking for her to reassure him and say, you're not like them." And
Yeah.
she does not. And
Yep.
she is like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I finally told him the truth."
Yep.
Um, and 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 she's just, yeah, I think that's like, this is one of those moments that she is starting to move away, is like, because she's not trying to, she is not she is like, "Nope, you did that."
Yeah.
And I'm not going to reassure you and tell you you're not. And she doesn't excuse it.
He even made but it's even still she feels lower at the end of this than when she went into it. She's nervous to go into it. She has this conversation. It backfires and then he makes her pity him to such an extent
Yeah, we end the sex with her
and
holding
feel
him.
bad about being vulnerable and feeling bad about being honest with him that
Hmm.
she's like, he says I'm sorry, he says I'm sorry again and he didn't stop murmuring it. Right? You've given enough, Feyre, and perhaps he was right. Perhaps I didn't have anything left to give. I'm like, at the end of all of this, she feels even worse than she went into it.
Which, yeah, well, yeah. And she is holding him at the end. And I don't know. To me, that's like one of those like almost like a movie thing where like the character looks over the shoulder and they're like, and you're like, oh, this is
Yep.
something's going. It's like it feels like that. And she also ultimately just can't. What does she say? Like, yeah, I put my arms around him because body to body was the only way I could speak to. Like, she doesn't have any problem talking to Reese.
Nope.
Got no problems. They just don't
She
click
can even
in
she can
that
even talk
way.
to Lucian more, but yeah, she can't talk to
Yeah.
Tamlin at all.
And I don't know if that's a Tam thing or just like they have bad chemistry and didn't realize it, but like yeah, she really that's the real tell is that and it's maybe if in a different series Tamlin could be like maybe he is the guy and he just has to work through all his
Mhm.
shit and become a different person blah blah blah. But like
Yeah.
they just don't match.
Topher and I talked about this because he was like having a good sexual relationship. He's like he compared it to like frosting on cake. He's like, you need to have the cake.
You can't just eat a pile of
You
frosting.
can't
Yeah.
just eat a pile of frosting. He's like, and granted, a good relationship that doesn't have frosting is really just a muffin because cake without frosting is just a muffin, and I don't
And
really want a
muffins
muffin.
are great.
Yeah, I know. I was like, he's like, but you can live on muffins. You can't just live on a pile of frosting, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so it's like all they have is physical, but also there's no intimacy into that. It's just a
Yeah.
release. It's something to it's a false sense of connectedness because they're not talking. There's no foundations for them anymore. They're not, it's like, oh, all we could do is skin to skin. You're like, at some point, that's not enough. And then even
Yeah.
when she says later on, right, Tamlin didn't stop apologizing for days. He made love to me morning and night, worshipped my body with his hands, his tongue, his teeth. But that had never been the hard part. We just got tripped up on the rest. And I said, the rest is the relationship, babe. It's
Yeah.
everything else.
Well, and to be fair, like Farah is her one experience is secret little trysts with an engaged man. And so, on some level she doesn't like even almost like know what she and also I think in a society like women are like you get married off or so maybe she's just happy to not be married off although she almost was but I don't know. I
Yeah.
think she just is so inexperienced. She just doesn't she should know what to expect, but she's just like
Yeah.
it's like she's never had a taste of that, so she doesn't even think the right
Yes. I also want to be a little bit of a dick at some point, and I don't know how this is going to come off, but like,
way.
right, he didn't stop apologizing and he made love to me and he worshiped my body. I'm sorry, babe, but the last time I checked, he's getting off. You might be too.
Yeah.
You might be too. Don't get me wrong. But that's not a one-sided apology.
Oh well, that says sound like something you say like when you're like trying to tell yourself like, oh, but look what he's really trying. He like,
He went down on me
he
like
gave me all these
6 times.
orgasms. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
like
but
so it sounds like some bullshit excuse you tell
yeah,
yourself
but I'm
because
like,
you're like
but
it's not
but
that
he's
bad.
but he's also enjoying his time. So like it's not there's
Hmm.
nothing, and like not that you need to be miserable when you're apologizing, but it's not one-sided. It's not like, okay, you want me to be vulnerable and talk to you? Okay, I'll do. That's something that he doesn't want to do. He wants to fuck
Yeah,
and he's
and I
getting
don't.
laid.
I mean, if you think about it, like if you're have an unresolved conflict or like a unsatisfied thing like between you I don't know at some point even the sex is going to feel like empty or like okay but
It's a
sure
whole lot
like we still
harder for
unsatisfied
it's so much harder for a girl to have an orgasm than it is for a guy. Are you kidding me
hmm
right now?
especially with emotional things yeah
Yeah, and then like now she feels disconnected from this person. She feels trapped and suffocated. Yeah, you know what else makes you feel trapped and suffocated? A 500-year-old big ass fey body on top of you.
yeah
Like, you know what I mean? It's just he's
hmm
just like plying her with sex. I'm like, you can't tell me that it's not the greatest sex she's ever going to have. It might be the best sex she's ever has had because, it's not secret trysts in a barn, but still like, babe,
yeah
come on. We can do better here.
yeah
And he never talks about the shield. He doesn't talk about any of it. He doesn't talk about the magic. He, like, just is
And she's
not.
noticing that. She's like, "He didn't say shit about that." And she said that is bothering her.
But she's also accepting it as just a thing, right? The days passed in a blur. Tamlin was away more often than not, and whenever he returned, he didn't tell me anything.
Yeah, where is he?
I'd long since stopped pestering him for answers. And then she makes an excuse for him.
Yeah,
A protector. It's who he was, who he would always be, what I had wanted, and turns it around on herself, right? Makes her
yeah,
the asshole. It was what I wanted when I was cold and hard and joyless, what I had needed to melt the bitter years. I didn't have the nerve to wonder if that's what I needed or wanted now.
yeah. She's talking about what I used to want. She's recognizing the mismatch.
Yeah.
Um, and but also I'm like, where is he? Like,
Yeah.
where is he
Yeah.
right now? Maybe he's still like dealing with shit that went down because of the tithe, and all the people are like, "Hey, I want a jewel," like,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just like, I don't get where he's going. Um, I don't know, where is he going? Or maybe he's just like saying, I got meetings," and then just is like running around a forest being
Yeah.
like, "Boo hoo."
I will say she's also, I mean, granted, he shuts her down when she does ask what he's doing to help himself, but she also doesn't ask him about his nightmares or about his shit. Because I know that Tamlin
Mhm.
gets a lot of shit for being like, she gets up every night and she throws up and he like doesn't comfort her. She does say here that she also doesn't do it for him. So
Yeah.
I will give the people that. But she did try to open up and he fucking blasted a room. So I wouldn't
Mhm.
really be asking him about nightmares either. If when you said, I feel like I'm suffocating and he fucking lost it, he's certainly not going to want to talk about his trauma.
Yeah.
But right, like some days I didn't speak to anybody at all, even Alice. I woke each night shaking and panting and became glad when Tamlin wasn't there to witness it.
Yeah.
When I
He's
too didn't witness him being yanked from his dreams, cold sweat coating his body, or shifting into that beast and staying awake until dawn, monitoring the estate for threats. What could
Yeah.
I do to calm those fears when I was the source of so many of them? And the reason, but that's the difference. The reason why she doesn't ask about it is because he has made her feel like if you ask me about this, they're because of you, it's going to make it worse.
You're gonna feel
He,
worse about it.
right, exactly. And like, he doesn't ask about hers. Like he just wants to avoid all of it altogether.
Mhm.
Also, he returned for an extended stay about 2 weeks after the tithe. An extended stay, babe. He lives there.
He lives yeah.
He lives
I
there.
just like, where the
I
fuck
don't
is
say my
he?
husband is home for or my husband has returned for an extended stay at his home? No,
It's
he
weird.
leaves for an extended stay and then he
Uh-huh.
comes home.
Yeah. I don't
Like,
surely we've gotta get
what
a
the
plot line about this in book 6, Jesus Christ. And the part where she says they tried again, she was gonna try,
Yeah, I had questions about
that
this
seemed like
part.
such a, I should try, like,
Well,
it seems so half-hearted.
well, and then but then this is what I was confused about, right? But he remained for his extended stay. And I decided to try to talk, to interact. I owed it to him to try, owed it to myself. Okay, great. And then it says, he seemed to have the same idea. And the first time in a while, things felt normal or as normal as they could be. So does that mean that they were trying to talk for a little while? We just don't see
Yeah,
it on
I
the
get that
page?
impression that, yeah, which I also think is like the tell that he is not the one, because if he was the happy ending in all the books, they would have those scenes on the page. I think it's
Yeah.
weird when things like that are so important happen off the page. And I honestly
Yeah.
think that probably they should have been included,
Yes.
because like,
I want to know what that looks like.
yeah, and it's like it is like the plot right now. Like, I don't know. But I think one or two of those should have been there. But maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's an interesting choice to put the only redeeming conversations about Tamlin off the page, where he is trying and stuff.
Well, and then I want to know, like, so how long was this? Did he come home for an extended stay and then boom, the next day you have to leave? Like, I'm trying to look at like the
Yeah,
time slot here, right? So it was
I
two
think it was
weeks
like,
because she got home and then 2 weeks later was the tithe.
no, I think like a couple
A
days.
week later. A week later was the tithe.
Okay, and then I think he's
And
probably
they have
gone.
and then he was gone. And then he returned for an extended stay about 2 weeks after the tithe. So yeah, so we're yeah, I mean it makes sense, right? So
He's gone for a week.
she comes home, a week later is the tithe, and then 2 weeks after that, he comes home. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's only home for maybe a day, a couple of days, maybe a week
Yeah, I think a week.
before.
About a week or 4 or
Yeah,
5 days.
yeah. And so she's like, "Oh, we talked for a few days."
Mhm.
Babe, you're not talking about shit. It's been a month. He hasn't asked about anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's on the next page, right? The she's if the war is coming, maybe we better try to mend things. We hadn't spoken of the subject since the first day back. It's been a month. You haven't talked about the war in a month?
Yeah, I think she's sort of given up on it. Like in the beginning of this chapter, it says like I'd given up asking him long ago, like where he was going or something like that. And I think it's just she just feels like she can't ask about it at all.
I
Um,
feel like everything they're talking about is just old shit. They're talking about the willows. They're talking about fucking
yeah, they're trying
starlight
their last
ponds.
gasp of their relationship.
Yeah, they're talking about the fiddle. Like
Yeah,
they're not talking about real shit. She's like, it felt normal. Yeah, you mean normal when he was still lying to you back then too, because he quote couldn't tell you anything?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
like 20-year-olds who dated in high school who are like, remember third period
Yep.
Spanish,
Yep.
and you're like, bro,
Yeah.
you get what? But I think it's interesting though, like the second Reese gets there, she kind of like it feels like she just switches gears. And like that's when she's willing to say like, you know, that the line I forget where that is, but maybe we should try to mend because
Yeah.
sorry, hold on. The part where that happens is that oh my god, there's so much in there. Yeah. So hold on. Let's go back up a little bit actually. Yeah, can we actually just go in order because I have too many well,
Yeah.
and maybe there are not that many thoughts, but I just feel like I always forget something. Um did you have any thoughts about this part with when she first sees Reese?
No.
I just thought it was funny that she like couldn't find clothes. I think that was just maybe like a little I was like, "Girl, this is your room. You have a fucking closet. Put on Anyway, it's like she almost wanted to.
Yeah, you think she was gonna take his hand while she's naked with just a blanket on?
Yeah, it's funny.
She's
And
like standing there naked. He's like, "Let's go." She's like, "Okay." Oh wait, hold on. Oh,
she probably was. I bet you her subconscious, just as a little hoe myself, her subconscious was like, let's go be like naked under here for Reese.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But and then I think it's also interesting that the very first moment with Reese, he sees her and his grin falters because he actually it's funny because Tamlin's this protector who's concerned with her physical well-being. Reese sees her immediately is concerned for her physical well-being because she looks thin. And
yeah,
Tamlin, the protector, who's only concerned about her physical health, is somehow not noticed that she's like lost a bunch of weight. And I'm like,
yeah.
I thought you care about her physical fitness.
The only yeah, I'm like the only thing that you have in common is physical activity, and Reese is the first one to be like, "Are you guys running out of food here?"
So I love that line. It's so sassy. And Tam was just like just like totally can't doesn't know what to
I
do
feel
with
like
that.
there's an oblivious like ness to it, where he's just like, "What?"
Huh?
What
I know, just like the ugliest face ever.
are you talking about? Yeah,
Yeah.
we just had the
Yeah.
tithe. We have so much fish.
And Reese doesn't even entertain it. He will not like instead of being like you didn't notice that she was like that. He's just like, let's go. I'm over your
Yeah,
shit. And then Tamlin and they both do this like non is it called a non sequitur where he's like saying something and so the other person just responds with something unrelated
yeah,
that's just like you know are you running Feyre, are you running low on food? What? Let's go, get out. Like
yeah,
we're not having a conversation here. And to be honestly, that she'll come to you when she's ready is just Tamlin being like, I want my way. Okay, but if you're gonna have it your way, then I'm gonna stomp my foot.
yeah,
That's what the she'll come when she's ready is such a little toddler thing. And then we get that line. I think we already talked about that last week where she's like, wow, he stood up to Tamlin, which she
yeah.
admires him for. Like, I feel like this is like she's like kind of fangirling over him. And then
But I
he's
love
like,
that Reese is immediately in her mind and makes it very obvious that he just read her mind, that they can have this communication, that he knows more, and then he throws out not just like the last time
a
his
memory.
right, and he's like, and it's not the last time Tamlin had his teeth at your neck, you wanted more, because that was also a thought,
Mm-hmm.
right? It wasn't, no, you like Tamlin's mouth at your neck, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
the last time that happened, you slapped him. Like, and
Mhm.
bringing out the opposite end of that ordeal, right? Because, like, at some point, when he first sees her in the manor, and he's like, why does she want to know what your mouth would feel like on her neck again? Kind of a thing. Like, he could have put that out there, but he
Oh,
doesn't.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I know I wrote, "Oh my god," an icon next to that. I also wrote, like, it's funny that her first thought was, "I can't believe he did that." Like, it clearly is just centering her fear of Tamlin. Like,
Yeah.
that's a weird I just you shouldn't be anyway. And then, yes, Tamlin's still just, like, stomping his little toddler feet,
Shut
being
your
like,
mouth
"Get
and get
out."
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And, okay, 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 but also you really should have your wards inspected. Cauldron knows what other sort of riffraff might stroll in here. Like, at first, this reads as just Reese being a little shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
and first of all, and Feyre responds by baring her teeth. I will say she gets defensive when he brings up like actual like security,
Yeah.
which to me screams high lady, but also is like, oh, you're such a Fae now. Like, but
Yes.
although do humans bare their teeth before this? But to me, it screams Fae. But
Yeah.
um,
Well, and it's he's worried about all this protection and his wards are down. And
I
I feel like the
know.
first time we read it, it's supposed to be like coming off as Reese can get through it, and it's his power. He's the most powerful High Lord. He's being a
That's what I
dick.
assumed. Yeah.
He played some trick on a sentry to get through the wards, or right, the wards aren't warded against, like whatever, and so he's just making us feel bad about it. Like maybe he
Mhm.
didn't break through wards, and he's just being a dick.
Yeah.
But no, because like even when
Yeah, she goes, "How did he get in here?" And Tamlin says, "I
I
don't
don't
know,"
know,
Tamlin said. "I slipped on my pants, twisting to find him running a hand through his hair. I felt the lie beneath his words." What the
yep,
fuck kind of she is so first she's much more suspicious, I think, and this reeks of like confidence. She is like over it. She's not like, "Oh, my Tamlin must be so stressed." She's like, "Bullshit." Like, I don't know. It's
but it's
interesting.
also bolstered by Reese's presence.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Also,
I feel like he
this
came
whole
in and
this
she's, like, got a spine a little bit more.
yeah.
Not to say that he's her only source of having a spine, but, helps her along.
I also and I know that it doesn't say this, but every time this, like, plays out in my head, she's rushing.
Yes.
It
It seems
feels
like that. She
rushed.
doesn't
It
stand
feels
and
rushed where
talk
she's like,
with
"I shut the
Tamlin.
door." He's sitting there and she's like, "Oh, like, where's this stuff? I gotta put my clothes on. I gotta go. I gotta go." Like, like when you're running late for work, like there's an eagerness to leave. And I granted, it doesn't say that, but it feels
No,
like
it
that.
feels like that. And it's actually, if we wanna get on a writing little thing, it's because the dialogue and the dialogue tags are tied in with action
Mhm.
and not just having back and forth dialogue, which would make
Yeah.
the thing feel stilted. You could have, like, just a back and forth with Tamlin with no dialogue tags and a long thing down the page and then said, "I'd finally pulled on my shoes," and
Yeah.
but because it's interspersed with those dialogue tags, it feels like a rushing, it feels
Yes.
busy, and I yes.
And it feels eager to leave.
Yes, it does feel eager. Um,
And then
and
she takes Reese's perspective on everything that she
if
said
war
to him.
is coming, that's Reese's thing, and
Yeah,
he like, Tamlin had shut it
and
down,
it's
so
right
she's
after
like,
she
"Oh,
realizes he's
yeah.
lying to her. "I know you're lying to me.
Yes.
Boom, already, you're not
Just
my friend,
this
you're not my
other lie."
ally. This is my ally."
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then,
Like, "Let's
yes,
go back to the last thing you lied to me about because I
yes,
knew
if
that was
war is
bullshit too."
coming, she throws out a Reese thing and even says, "Maybe we should try to make amends. Maybe you should bury the hatchet." Already
Yeah.
trying to defend Reese, and he's like, "I'll start making amends when he releases you from the bargain." And she's like, "Maybe
Yeah.
he's keeping the bargain so you'll attempt to listen to him." Like, again, even not only just pushing what Reese has said, but then defending the bargain.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't necessarily think that's why he's keeping it, but it's funny that she is like the same
And
way that
the
she makes up excuses for Tamlin, she's doing that for Reese, but
yes.
um I'll start mending things the day he releases you from your bargain. First of all, so toddler, so
Yes.
bratty, like I'm gonna take my
Yes.
ball now. But also just like it's Mr. Protector suddenly is so just can't get out of his ego enough to actually think about safety or is lying about safety. I don't know. It's like, are
Mhm,
you not in danger or are you? Like, why
mhm.
aren't you concerned about this? Shouldn't you be doing the most strategic
Yeah,
thing possible? But instead, he's being a brat. So he's either so self absorbed that he disregards safety, which goes against all of his other things, or there's not really that much of a threat. And so
yeah.
and this doesn't end well either way. But anyway,
This whole section, this next section is so telling, right? Feyre, he said, reaching for me, but I stepped out of range.
yes, she's like, don't fuck with
She's like,
me.
hold on. No. And he's
Yeah.
like, why do you need to know these things? Is it not enough for you to recover in peace?
Ew.
You've earned that for yourself. You've earned it. I relaxed the number of centuries. I've been trying. I'm trying to do better. I just leave it, the rest of it to me. Like, stop. Like, what? And
Yeah, the
she
earned thing feels so like someone told him. It's like a weird like, where are you getting this? Like, so what? Like, shut up.
getting it from my auntie is where he's getting it. But,
Probably actually. It probably is an anti talking point.
uh
Don't
huh.
involve Feyre. She's earned her time. That
Yep.
actually does sound like some shit she would
Yep.
say. Um, readers, I pointed my pen at Sam. Listeners.
But yes, it's
That
just
is
like,
actually a good point.
yeah, like she brings up this stuff and like is trying to have a real conversation about politics. And he's like,
And he's
why do
like,
you
"Why
need
are
to
we
know
doing
about this?
this?" Yeah,
Why do you have to ask so many fucking questions? This isn't a, like, this, just go and be pretty somewhere.
yeah. I also thought like the earned stuff. I was like, so if let's say she didn't earn it, is he
Yeah,
like, "You're my
right?
girlfriend, get to work"? Like,
Yeah, right.
like, I mean,
And
not
then
really.
I
I'm sure
do
he would
love
just have some
where,
different
like,
excuse.
he cuts himself off though. And he's like, this isn't the time for this conversation. And her thought, it's never the time for this conversation or that
Yeah,
conversation. She's like
he
so
is
over his ass. And then
so over it.
immediately, right? So like then she's reminded that Reese is waiting. And then, but I'd had enough fighting and snarling and going back to that open, serene place atop the mountain. It seemed better than hiding in the library. And at first, when I first read it, I was like, oh, she's had enough of the fighting between Tamlin and Reese, that she's like, just stop, I'm done. Like, I'll just go, like, fine, I'll go hide I'll go to that
Mhm.
place in the mountains because it's better than hiding away. But I don't think she's talking about Reese and Tamlin. She's talking about her and Tamlin. She had had enough of the fighting with Tamlin, the snarling between each other, and she would rather go back to the Night Court. She
Yeah.
already would rather go back.
Because it said she'd been hiding out in Tamlin's library, doing
Yeah.
the mental shields and reading and stuff.
But she's like, we're already are like, it's first thing in the morning. We're already fighting. We're already snipping at each other.
Mm.
And what's the rest of my day gonna be? Go and hide in the library? No. You know what? I would actually much rather go to the to the Moonstone Palace.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then my question too is like, when he steps out, right? Reese's face became unreadable and he extended a hand only for Tamlin to appear behind me and shove that hand down. And he says, you end her bargain right here, right now, and I'll give you anything you want. Anything. And her heart stops dead. And she's like, are you out of your mind? Now, one, are you out
I
of your
just
mind because she's worried about what he's willing to give up? Or is she saying, are you out of your mind because she doesn't want the bargain gone?
I think it's a little bit of both. To me, it screams like, "What do you mean anything? This is like your enemy, and you're just gonna give him anything he wants." Like,
Yeah,
it seems reckless and irresponsible. To me, I
it
wrote,
does.
that means any means necessary. This is a seed for Highburn,
Yeah.
because he's showing I'm willing to do anything to fix this, in the desperation. But yeah, I kind of think she's like,
But I
no, no, no,
don't
no,
think he's
no.
willing to give anything to fix it. He's willing to give up anything to control Feyre.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because
That's what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah,
Fix like
like,
the
he
bargain
wants to
situation.
be able to control, and so I think that there's also a part of her that's like, "Are you out of your mind?" Where he's like, "I'll do anything to keep her in this house," and she's like, "You lost your fucking mind? Like, I
Like,
already
she
have told."
doesn't even look at her. That was so rude.
Yeah,
Like,
and she's like, "Are you crazy? You're not like, one, fine, I have a bargain, but you're willing to give him anything so that you can keep me as a prisoner even more? Fuck off."
yeah. Or even just like, dude, haven't you felt how shitty this month has been?
Mhm.
You want me to stay here some more? Like, yeah,
Also,
I think it's all of that.
I really wanna know, what does he think he has to bargain with?
Yeah. What does he think he's gonna pay Reese off?
Like,
Like
what's he like, you don't have
he,
wings.
he got lots of tithe, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have any
Give you
wings to give him.
16 goats, Reese.
I'll give you half of my tithe earnings. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
what is he gonna get? What are you gonna give him? You have,
Yeah.
what, your 6 centuries? He's got Illyrian warriors, bro. What are you gonna
Yeah,
give
I
him? All
don't
of their
it's
spring
so
court?
weird.
Reese could have been like, give me the spring court. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah. I think it's just to me, it's just again, it's this whole the last part of chapter 10 is just Tamlin toddler tantrum
Yeah.
and him just being like, I'll give you anything. Like, that's not you don't what are you gonna give? Reese has everything. You don't really want to give him anything. And also, what the fuck?
And maybe that's part of the, like, "Are you out of your mind?" Where she realizes he has nothing to give.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'll give you
Yeah.
anything you want," and she's like, "Of what?" Uh,
Yeah.
what could you possibly give him? I also realize, like, I know she says, like, "Before I could say goodbye, he already winnowed," but, like, she doesn't try to say goodbye either, though.
Yeah. Well, okay,
What?
but hold on. The Tamlin didn't so much as blink in my direction is so like that should have been a flag to me, but, like, he will not even look at her. Oh, that's the other thing is I was thinking, like,
Where is that?
the fact that he tries to buy Feyre back is just, like, another form
Yeah.
of objectification, and then
Mhm.
she responds to him offering up anything for her to be kept there, and he will not look at her. He only looks to the person who would be doing the buying, and it is just, like, the biggest
Yeah.
probably the biggest ick of this chapter,
Yeah.
being the biggest thing of last chapter being the actual explosion, but, like,
Yeah.
well, maybe not the biggest, but it's like,
It's
ew,
pretty ick.
and Reese doesn't even entertain it. I would have liked to see a Reese, like, melt him down there, but, um, I have everything I want as he grabs Feyre.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, she does not try to say goodbye. She is like, you know, "Oops, a black wind gathered me up."
Mhm.
Um, God, I wish we could keep going because chapter 11, I always love these conversations. I don't know, there's just, like, very, like, juicy.
Yeah.
You would never stop at chapter 10. You would go and read 4 more chapters.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, yeah, well, next week we'll do 11 and 12.
Mhm. Perfect. So, to the stars who listen, we will see you next week.